Okay, who is going first? I think we can unmute and then introduce ourselves. It will be good to know who is here.
Dr. Judith Wafula from Lukenya University in Kenya. I'm happy to be part of this meeting. Thank you.
Thank you very much. Okay, we can also add our positions if we want, who we are. Millicent,
Okay.
can you alert me once you are back? Dr. Ufula would want to know your designation in the institution, if that's okay.
I'm the Acting Vice Chancellor of Lukenya University in Kenya. Thank you.
Thank you very much. We are pleased to have you here, madam.
I am Patrick D'Souza, the Director of ICT from the University of Health and Allied Sciences in Ghana.
Thank you very much, Mr. Patrick. We are so glad to have you here.
Good morning, everyone. I am Basalimane, a lecturer at University of Science, Engineering and Technology, UCED Gambia, currently pursuing PhD at KNUST. Thank you. PhD in Geotechnical Engineering.
Okay, excellent. KNUST in Ghana?
Yes, please.
Oh, thank you. It's always good to see intra-Africa mobility happening. So thank you very much for sharing who you are with us, and we are glad to have you here today.
Thank you, ma'am.
Okay. Who is next, please?
Good morning, colleagues. Afternoon, evening, wherever you are. My name is Kokeli Sitole, Dr. Kokeli Sitole. I'm from the National University of Science and Technology in Bulawayo, Zimbabwe. I'm the director of the Institute of Development Sciences. Thank you.
Thank you very much for joining us. I think team members from AAU were in Bulawayo not too long, sometime this year. It's good to be connected and to have you here with us.
Thank you.
Okay.
Yes. Okay. Assalamu alaikum. Good morning. Good morning.
Good morning, sir.
I am Jamilu Mukhtar. I have been calling you from Kano, Nigeria. I am Vice Principal, Government Girls Arabic Secondary School, Tudumbojua, under Kano State Senior Secondary School Management Board. Thank you.
Thank you so much. We look forward to hearing insights from all of you during a Q&A session, which would come much later. So perhaps we are all encouraged to engage with the discussion and to follow the presentation. So when it comes to the Q&A, we can all contribute to enriching the discussion. Do we have Millicent back in the room, please?
Yes, I'm back, Dr. Nkrumah. Thank you.
Okay, all right. Let me hand over to you just in case the key speaker is in. But otherwise, you can continue with the introduction. So over to you, Millicent. Thank you.
Yeah, thank you, Dr. Nkrumah. I'm informed Dr. Kahali is connected. So
Hi,
we can
good morning.
Continue.
Good morning, everyone.
Hi, good morning. We can continue the introductions in the chat box while we listen to Dr. Kahali. So we look forward to engaging with you all in the Q&A session, like my colleague indicated, Dr. Kahali.
Hi, good morning, everyone. Am I audible?
You're very audible. We can hear you.
Okay, great. And I apologize in advance. I'm having some problem with the internet connection, and that's why I'm unable to, switch on my camera. So currently, I am taking this meeting from a university. We just had a great interaction with an university in India and a lot of good discussion around open access. So I'm very excited to continue this discussion again at another forum with the AAU's partnership. And allow me a second to share my screen. Are you able to see the screen?
Yes.
Okay.
Yes.
Okay, now you see that in a presentation mode.
Yes, it's in the presentation mode.
Okay, great. So good morning, everyone. Thanks for having me at this very important forum. We have been working closely, partnering with AAU for the last couple of years, and through AAU, we've been able to understand so much about this huge active and dynamic research ecosystem in Africa. Earlier this year, our colleagues were also at Morocco for your flagship event. So today we're going to talk about in my session about open research, how it is bridging across disciplines and subject areas. To give a brief introduction about myself, so I have been a researcher and an academic before I moved into scholarly publishing. I have a PhD in genetics. Soon after the PhD, I decided I would love to, explore science communication, academic publishing, and not go the, usual postdoc and teaching way. And I started working as a publisher with Springer Nature, following which I joined Taylor and Francis again in the capacity of an editor. Currently, I work as head of academic relations and partnerships at Taylor and Francis from earlier this year. And in my role, I'm working closely with research academies, associations, and universities across South Asia as well as Sub-Saharan Africa. As far as Taylor and Francis is concerned, so we are representing ourselves to the wide research community, academic community, through these imprints that we publish. The six big imprints that we publish are Taylor and Francis, which actually is the huge portfolio of hybrid as well as open access journals across STEM and HSS disciplines. We are also the home to the largest HSS publishing venue, which is Routledge. We publish cutting-edge STEM books, all textbooks, reference books, handbooks, etc., under our CRC Press imprint. Then we have these three big open access journal imprints, PLJ, F1000, Dove Press Medical, all publishing across the entire disciplines of STEM as well as HSS. As a publisher, what we are majorly doing is providing you services, not just in publishing your literature, but hand-holding you across the publishing and, your research life cycle. So right from, and research, you can view it in the form of the cycle, where research initiates with a hypothesis, there's an experiment that follows, there are results that, come out of that experiment, and you ultimately, prepare your manuscript and publish. And then we're also there with you while, you engage with a larger community through the research that you publish. So we provide a huge high quality access to literature across all disciplines. And, that's really helpful when you are building a hypothesis, when you want to access good quality literature to work on some experiments. Next is, at an experiment stage, what you can do is publish the outcome in various formats, not just like a research article or a review article, but if you have some early analysis, like you can publish those as registered reports or study protocols. These are also ways to get methods published. An early version of your results could also be published as a preprint, and currently we are partnering with Gates Foundation on this validated preprint platform called Verikive that ensures validation with its many validation checks. So usually preprints are loosely moderated, where once you have any research you can easily publish that, but our preprint, which is in collaboration with Gates, provides more than 20 validation checks. So, that is also not as loosely moderated. And any Gates funded researcher is eligible to publish in it free of cost. We also provide support to researchers in their journey of manuscript publication, So you can optimize manuscript through language polishing services, manuscript editing services that we offer. And another thing, which we also help is publishing research articles as well as books in an open access format for maximizing your impact. The last stage is creating impact. So we don't just want you to publish with us, but we also want to see is you getting the engagement and impact out of the research that you publish with us. So we support you in impact reporting on things such as usage, citations, policy. We also help promote published research through various means like graphical, abstract, infographics, or impact summary services. Overall, we'd like to be a part of your entire research publishing journey. And through all these stages, something that we closely associate with and do is provide training to researchers across the globe. So we have our outreach and research development teams that are working closely with research communities across the globe, helping them through various processes of the research cycle, such as, while peer review, of peer review, of editing, of writing an article. So those are the kind of training topics that we do provide you with. As far as our own journey is concerned with respect to open research, we are truly championing it. We've been working towards a future where trusted, validated, and high quality knowledge is meant to be available to all. So our journey with open research started way back in 2006, when our first set of hybrid journals were really established in STM discipline. So basically before this, the journals were all behind a paywall, and it was only in 2006 that we also opened them up for open access publishing. This was followed by other activities to promote open research, such as launch of more broad scope journals. In 2016, we had our first OA agreement in Netherlands, following which we did welcome a lot of full open access journal imprints under our umbrella. So Tough Press, F1000, more recently PeerJ, they're all a part of the TNF's huge portfolio of open research publishing venues. As a publisher, yeah, sorry, is someone saying something? Hi, there's some disturbance on the line. Okay, so
please ensure, hold on, Dr. Kahali, please ensure that you're all muted. We have only Dr. Kahali's microphone on. Thank you.
Thanks so much. Okay, so as a trusted partner, what we want to do is work closely with institutions and researchers. So at this point, we have over 1,000 global agreements that simplify compliance with open research requirements, your funder mandates, your university guidelines. We are also the leading open access books publisher. Currently, we publish over 2,500 full OA books and more than 42,000 open chapters. We are also the first publisher to set a data policy across all new books content. And in terms of the various routes that we provide to open access, we are innovative, flexible, and ensure that you are supported in your open research journey through diverse pathways that combine funding as well as community support. With the advent and, with the deluge of information, and misinformation, disinformation, that's rampant right now in today's, academic and research ecosystem, we really, really prioritize ethics and integrity to build trust in research, in science overall. So we are working across the research sector with various organizations to combat research misconduct at large scale. So we do take action. In the graph at the beginning, you can see the number of ethics cases that have been on the rise. These are the ethics cases that our ethics research integrity team, they check on a daily basis. So we ensure that every suspected misconduct case is thoroughly looked into. We uphold trust in research and ensure that there's rigor at each stage of publishing process. So right from the submission process, where we screen manuscripts, preventing thousands of problematic articles being published, we ensure that there's thorough peer review, which happens for both our research articles as well as book proposals. These are assessed by experts with code of conduct and training in unbiased and thorough constructive peer review. So we are working not only with authors, but also with our editorial teams, editorial board members. They are also being appropriately and continuously trained on these aspects. Ultimately, we are also dealing at the post-publication stage. So if we publish that is wrong, we take every measure to correct the scholarly record. So only validated and, the correct literature is available for you to reach. And we also mark literature. If there has been problematic articles, we'll mark it as such. So, nobody ends up reading and, trying to build upon something that has some ethics misconduct associated with it. We are a leader in this sector. Okay, we're trying to raise standards and driving policy changes across the research and publishing ecosystem. And in these endeavors, we are supported by various global organizations such as STM, COPE, United to Act Against Paper Mills. So these are all the, because we can't really battle this out alone. So we have to, have multiple stakeholders and, organizations as a part of this huge, work that we've undertaken to combat research misconduct. So open research, today's topic is open research, mostly policies and impact. But what is it truly? So it is a process, it is a way of making research more transparent, accessible, reusable, as well as reproducible. So we are looking at an ecosystem where high quality knowledge is produced. And it's also available freely, there's access available for people to build on it. Systems, we want to make sure that systems are interoperable. All this knowledge that's created is reusable, ultimately to the benefit of society. But what were the driving forces for open research? So, of course, there were funder mandates, all across the globe. There more and more funders, especially government funders and, other funding agencies are creating mandates around making it compulsory for any grant awardees, that have been, who have received funding from their funding agencies, ultimately publish the outcome in open formats so that it's available. So, the research that has been funded by them is available for others to use. We've also seen a huge rise of unethical research practices, right from researchers manipulating peer review to unattributed use of AI. Ultimately, there's this huge reproducibility crisis where, more than 70% of the researchers are unable to reproduce experiments done by others, and approximately 50% are unable to reproduce their own results. And in these scenarios, it's really helpful to have various parts of various parts of research and knowledge available for people to use. So when we are talking about open research, we're talking about this huge movement, this umbrella of terms, which not only includes the final outcomes such as open access articles, but the various parts of research. So be it open data, open peer review, open methods, all of this is important. So, when various parts of your research is available for people to use, there's a higher amount of trust, and there is an increased chance at reproducibility of the research that you've produced. So why does open access matter? There's a lot on this slide, but at the heart of it all, open access addresses access inequalities. Access inequalities prevent many researchers in underserved disciplines and regions from accessing the knowledge that is needed to, advance their work, but also needed for general, interested audiences to know more about research. It might, have policymakers or government, actually reading that research and acting upon it. So opening up research actually makes it available to various stakeholders across disciplines, regions, career stages, and also professions. So not just your field, it opens your research up, to people across the board. It advances knowledge for sure, because if a researcher is unable to find existing data, methods, nitty-gritties of the research, that you've worked on, they can't really build upon that work. You end up duplicating efforts, you end up wasting a lot of resources and slowing progress. So open research actually helps to advance knowledge and drive progress, and does all that quickly, because the literature is available to you immediately. As soon as you publish it, it's available for you. So people can build on your work quickly. It addresses the reproducibility crisis, as I already mentioned. So open research increases transparency of research data and methods, making research more robust. It also helps in policy momentum. So increasingly, there's demand for publicly funded research to be available. And open research supports compliance and aligns with global policy goals. Transparency and equity is at the heart of it. So closed systems make it hard to identify potential bias or inequities. But open research actually ensures that all researchers, regardless of where they're based, what kind of resources they're having, are able to benefit from the high quality, research and knowledge that's available. It supports inclusive knowledge society. So this figure here is actually UNESCO's recommendation on open science, which says that, the ultimate aim for open science is to support inclusive knowledge societies. The ultimate aim is that, there is open scientific knowledge, there are open science infrastructure, there's engagement on the research that's produced, and there's it also simplifies the dialogue with different stakeholders and knowledge system. What we generally end up looking and considering at open access is usually the little green quadrant here, which is scientific publication and others, but there's a lot more. So there's investment on open infrastructure, looking at the metrics, but all of it contributing to a very equitable knowledge ecosystem where multiple stakeholders can, access knowledge, use it. And on the other side of it, the core mission of, organizations like Taylor and Francis, and other academic publishing is to advance knowledge through rigorous inquiry and dissemination and to foster human progress. Open access ensures that all these objectives, the ones set by UNESCO, the ones that we are aiming towards, are achieved through making research findable, accessible. I've written reusable, but I think I would have, wanted to use interoperable also here. The result is showing up in the metrics. There are 35% more citations, 5x more downloads, and twice as much as altmetric attention. And all of these indicate the engagement with your research, because at the end of the day, that is what you would want. You want people to read the research that you have produced, to engage with it, to ensure that further collaborations, collaboration routes open up, and there's a lot of engagement on the work that you have done. Usually, we look at open access, but these are the 4 pillars: open data, open code, open papers, and open reviews. These all form open research or open science. And the underlying principle of open science is FAIR, okay? So open research needs to be, and open data, it needs to be findable, accessible, interoperable, and reusable. Traditional publishing workflow usually looks at a research article, which is out there in the open, but open research actually supports the discovery of various parts, including research methods, activities, and output, which are not surfaced through the traditional workflow. So if you look at the bottom of this iceberg image here, there are many other parts of, other aspects of research, which also needs to be available openly for people to be able to reuse and build upon the work that's there. So underlying data, null and negative results, which is equally important. So we are always focused on publishing groundbreaking results, but null and negative research is actually one of the greatest ways in which you can ensure, transparent, equitable sort of an ecosystem. We've also seen that research articles, which are linked to data on an average receive 25% more citations. And this is because there's an added trust element to it. When there is data associated with you, when that, the author who has published this article can furnish that data, and, that data and details can actually help you build your own research, you are more likely to use that piece of literature, okay? And therefore more citations and more reads on those papers. Quickly looking at data, and probably I will go through these very quickly here. So this little infographic here actually shows you the whole data sharing process, okay? So I've split it up into 4 parts. First is planning. So data sharing planning actually starts much before, you're actually publishing the research. A data management plan is one of the first things that you would probably do, which includes, having a plan in place, you selecting a repository which is suitable for the kind of research that you want to do. Second is you prepare data according to the guidelines that you have. So, wherever necessary, you anonymize it, create metadata, or, describe your data properly, check data sets, headers, etc. Make sure that it is in a format which could be uploaded and submitted. Finally, you deposit all that data in a repository that is suitable for you and include all the metadata associated with it. And finally, in the publication that is there, you describe, using a data availability statement to your manuscript. All of these steps usually happen before submitting the manuscript to a journal. And in fact, we have seen in journals where there are open data policies, we see a lot of rejection happening because of non-adherence to the data policies. And so that's one of the major things that you need to, keep in mind when you're submitting an article. This I might kind of skip. So basically, what exactly is data? So how do you know whether, you have data which you want to declare in your research? So your data is both the input of research process as well as the output. So so journal data policies, they actually require, a lot of time they require data supporting findings of your research paper. So, look at what the particular journal that you're submitting to is actually asking. This is another one which is actually about selecting a data repository. This is again very field specific, look at an appropriate database, which, data repository where you want to submit your data, make sure there's metadata associated with it, make sure there's a persistent, identifier, because you would be citing the data. And, depending on these, you use that for your own research experiment. Last is describing the data. This is an example of a data availability statement, and which where you need to describe the data, including the data repository that you've used. The data set needs to be named. The data reuse license, that is very important, what license you're using for the data. And also the identifier, the persistent link that data has, the DOI, or add all of this in your data availability statement. Make it as transparent, and as easy to read as possible. Finally, for sharing sensitive human data, of course, this would be planned in advance, and your IRB approval needs to be taken. You have to take consent wherever it's needed, anonymize data wherever it's needed, and describe any sharing limitations in your article's data availability statement. Because if there's sensitive data, of course, you can't share it as openly as, certain other kind of data set. So Taylor and Francis really encourages you to share data, but of course we are not mandating that on all our journal venues. So our data sharing requirements range from basic to open and fully fair, and where data citation and data availability statements are highly encouraged in the basic one, to where these are mandatory, as far as open and fully fair data is concerned. Also, the license that is applied to the data set needs to be checked here. So whereas in a basic one, it's author's choice, but when you go to a more open data policy, there you may have to use a CC BY or an equivalent, whatever the mandate is. So underlying thing here is check your journal's instructions for authors to identifying what kind of data sharing requirement you have, and do this before submission. Second is open data, open code. So of course, research output are varied, and increasingly, we are taking advantage of new technology, codes, etc., to capture data, analyze data, analyzing huge sets of data. So openly stating the code, open code is becoming increasingly so. As materials and methods, open code is also now an increasingly important aspect of your research, which you need to declare if you have been using. So this I will probably skip. So this is an evidence on how, adding extenders, article extenders to your publication makes it easier to read, gives higher engagement to your article, so things such as plain language summaries or podcasts, infographics, graphical abstracts, these are making your research more engaging to a wider, audience. And what we have seen is, as an example, things like clinical trial protocols with additional extenders, they averaged 4,000 plus views versus 2,000 plus without. So these are actually helping in making your article accessible. So it's a good idea for you to have a look at, what are the kind of article extenders that are available for you, and especially looking at the kind of audience that you're expecting for your research, for your publication. Take it to use it to your advantage. And, there is no exaggerating here, but we've actually seen that, with things like plain language summaries or, podcasts, etc., there have been a 144% uplift. Okay, that's a real number. 144% uplift in the views and engagement with your research. Last, of course, is third is open papers. This, of course, you are more familiar with. This is actually open access publishing, which is all about making content freely available for people to read. So as soon as you publish your article, anyone, anywhere, anytime can, and as long as they have internet access, are able to read your article. It also, depending on the kind of licenses used, makes your content reusable by third parties with little or no restriction. You have to have a look at what the CC BY license is. Usually open access is often signified with this particular image, often, orange open lock. There are some key differences between open access and non-open access articles, especially around, open access is where the author retains the copyright of their article. We use a CC BY license, and there's free reuse by third parties. Okay, and these are not the case in non-open access articles. The many colors associated with open access. Green open access is usually, when articles are published online and uploaded into certain repositories. Usually you have to look at the embargo period if it's applicable. Here, publishers usually, retain the copyright, and you do not, no APCs are charged here. Gold open access is, of course, the open access we are talking about right before, where author retains the copyright, author decides on the license style, as well as the reuse type, and these are usually supported by APCs, which are either funded by the funder, institution, etc. Then there is also open diamond open access, where these are usually covered by third parties. So these platforms are usually hosted by institutions, societies, and funders. And we also have certain, diamond open access venues, and that's definitely something that is really growing, and we're looking for more and more engagement with research communities on this. Hybrid open access is essentially subscription journal with an option to publish OA. This I will skip, and this is also something that I'll be skipping. As far as preprint, because this is a question which we get often, that, is it really wise to publish in a preprint if you want to publish, as a journal article later? So authors can actually share their original manuscript as they like, in a preprint server of their choice. And posting on a preprint server is not considered to be duplicate publication. And this is not going to jeopardize consideration for publication in any of our journals. So we actually encourage you to publish in preprints. It is also a manner of getting early reviews on your research. It's a way of time stamping your article. And we are absolutely, in agreement with you publishing on a preprint server. And that does not fall into like a plagiarism category, as a lot of researchers have queries about. So go ahead, do publish your preprint, and after it is done, you can also submit the same article in a journal venue of your choice. This is something which is coming up more and more, where a lot of demand around peer review, transparency is coming up. So we do have open peer review in journals such as F1000. We are also piloting it with certain journals within the broader TNF umbrella. But majority of our journals still use a single or a double anonymized, a blinded peer review. But open peer review definitely is something that the community is opening up to, where you can have the peer review comments along with the article, uploaded for people to read. So that is one step ahead in the transparency part of this whole open research ecosystem. So finally, the benefits of open research for researchers. So apart from these metrics of getting 5 times more downloads, 40% more citations, and twice as much as altmetric attention, it really helps in boosting your credibility. When you have open methods, open data that are available for people to use, there's added trust in your research. You of course enhance your visibility. Your article is available for people to read, to build on, and there's a huge collaboration opportunity for you, which definitely helps in you progressing your career. So we have seen that, with things like open data, etc., you have an increased chance at citations. If you're interested, you can have a look at this little, article, which is called 5 Selfish Reasons to Work Reproducibility. Here. This is an example of how impactful an accessible article is. Okay, and your support, like your institution support, your funder support, actually gives the researcher, the author, that one chance of maximizing the impact that they have. So they, through the research journey of a PhD scholar, they might publish 1 or 2 articles, but if that is made open access, they have this huge opportunity of getting a lot of engagement on their research. So this is an example of a research article, which was published about 18 months ago. Currently, it reflects in the top 5% of all research outputs scored by Altmetric, and has both significant views and citations. And if we delve deeper, we'll see that researchers across the globe are actually reading it, and not just researchers who have access to, have subscription to certain journals, but researchers across disciplines, geographies, and even maybe not researchers, even policymakers, government, and other stakeholders are also able to access and engage with your research. So quick recap on why OA is important. So it reduces the barrier to collaborative research, okay? Data sharing policy, transparency, attribution, all of it is making the research ecosystem more collaborative. It's also reducing research waste, You are really addressing the reproducibility crisis. That this is the data associated with it. These are the methods. It's easier for you to reproduce and, minimize the budget waste. It helps removes bias in editorial processes, especially with things like open peer review, etc. It will definitely help reduce that bias. It also enables people to build on your ideas and build on knowledge immediately, okay? Despite of where they are based. It also supports easier access to research as well as publishing opportunities for developing nations, global south, and underfunded research areas. So I am based in India. I have been a researcher in India, and I know that if I have the ability to access research from every discipline, I'll feel much more empowered in my own research and academic journey. So it also enables better real world impact. Okay, so research isn't just for academics, it just isn't just for the lab, it's for practitioners, it's for policymakers, NGOs, journalists. So you are essentially making that high quality research accessible for a larger societal benefit. And by supporting easy and equal access to all aspects of research, it supports more evidence-based policy. The policy decisions that the government take are now based on research, high quality research. And these also help in policy recommendation as well as in practicing changes. So with that, I'd like to end my presentation. Here's my email address. If you need to, reach out to me after this session, please feel free to do so. And I'd be happy to take any questions. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Dr. Kahali, for such insights into the contributions and services being provided by Taylor and Francis in supporting researchers to sustainably transition to open research access. We appreciate such insights that you have given us. And just a few announcements that we have simultaneous interpretation in French available. So you just have to click on the globe icon with the interpretation written underneath it, and then you choose French. You would have access to the French interpretation. So just to also mention that Taylor and Francis is supporting this year's Africa Universities Day. They've been one of our long-standing partners at the Association of African Universities, and we are very proud to be associated with them. So we would like to receive your feedback. If there are any questions for Dr. Kahali, we would also, you can unmute. You would just alert us by raising your hand. We would help you unmute, and then you would throw across your question, send across your question. Otherwise, you can also use the Q&A chat box as indicated in the chat, that everybody can access the Q&A, and then you drop your questions over there. I see Dr. Kahali has dropped her email address in the chat box, so you can reach her after this presentation as well. But then, like I said, it's been very insightful. And the most important thing is that knowing that at the heart of research, open access research for Taylor and Francis is ethics and integrity in building research in Africa. And then also that they are pushing or promoting for research visibility and research impact, not just for African researchers, but then across the globe. And these are very insightful feedback we have received. And I will quickly go into the chat box to see if we have any feedback, any comments. I think most of the feedback are in line with Dr. Kahali's presentation, appreciating the very vital information that she has provided. And yes, Dr. Ayub from Ethiopia wants to find out if the presentation will be available. Yes, it will be available on the event platform. So the event page where you registered, we would have the presentations available there. So we are open to receive questions. Dr. Kahali is here to answer any questions related to open access. If you have any contribution to make in addition to her presentation, please feel free to raise a hand and you will be invited to speak. Okay, so let me just read some of the feedback we have received. We have this from ES Olarinde in Nigeria saying a very good day and best wishes for a successful event. And we have Jafar also saying it's a very great presentation. So Professor Olushola Oyewole, who is the Secretary General of the Association of African Universities, is highlighting the AAU's contribution to open access, stating that apart from this, our partnership with Taylor and Francis, by creating this platform for African universities to connect with publishers, we also help universities to accept open science, universities in Africa to accept open science. So we have a question from Judith Wafula. Dr. Kahali, she wants to know what percentage of African research is published by Taylor and Francis.
Hi, thank you so much for that question. I think it's a great question to ask. So basically at this point, what we have seen is that there's a continuous increase in articles, like not only publications, but submissions coming in from Africa and across disciplines. So to give some kind of idea, so we have, in the last 3 years, we have over 11,000, I think close to 11,000 articles, open access articles coming in from Africa to our content, published with TNF. We also see that out of all the content that is published in our venues, close to 40% is actually open access. So that's an incredible insight that we've received. That usually we think that only countries like the US and others that are investing through these institutional partnerships and RNPs are growing in OA, but in Africa, close to 40% of the content that we are publishing comes in OA, and not only articles. So, like the 11,000 publications that we have in the last 3 years, we also have a huge number of full open access books coming in from Africa. So we have society partnerships, close to 70 journals that are co-published with African societies or are about African studies. We have a huge and growing number of articles, and we also have some specific platforms. So there's this platform which is there. It's called Open Research Africa. It is an FN1000 platform that we have, which publishes research in collaboration with the Science for Africa Foundation. So we are, and I'm seeing immense potential in our partnership with African researchers and research communities. So yes, so I hope the question was small, but I did try to give a glimpse of, the other things that we are doing with AU and with other institutes. So we also have a partnership with the SANLIC Consortia, then individual partnerships with different universities across Africa, as well as not just with universities and consortia, with independent societies as well. I hope that answers your question.
Judith Wafula, I hope your question is answered.
It's well answered. Thank you.
Okay, thank you. And we have another question on whether Taylor and Francis give waiver on the APC to researchers from Sub-Saharan Africa.
Yes, we do. So there is a difference from country to country in the term, like in the kind of waivers that they are available. But most of the countries in Africa either have waivers already because of the World Bank listing, but also then there are individual partnerships that we have done with certain consortia. And the consortia is actually then supporting the APCs and giving out those waivers to the the researchers involved. So say in a country like South Africa, we do not have those World Bank waivers, but this is a country that where the consortia has actually paid up for the researchers, and the researchers at their individual levels are being able to utilize that sort of a benefit.
Thank you. Hope the question is adequately answered. So there is another one that participants would want to know how Taylor and Francis define its long-term vision for open access, particularly in the context of equitable global participation?
Thanks. That's a very important question. So what we are trying to do is look at, growing this whole or working on this open science sort of a movement, okay, not just open access. As I said, that open research is so much broader than just open access. So we are trying to bring in processes, bring in venues that are context specific. So if you look at my own remit, I handle the regions of South Asia and Sub-Saharan Africa. Both of these regions have very similar issues, with funding, with huge amount of research being produced, and yet you'll have to look at the quality of research, and also so we are trying to have all sorts of consideration and finding out venues, and also looking at partnership, because at the heart of all this, we do believe that individual researchers and authors cannot be asked to pay these APCs. So if we can work with the governments, with the policymakers, funders, and institutions to make transparent, equitable research more accessible to regions across the world, that'll be great. But now we have really seen that sort of an output growth, both from South Asia as well as Sub-Saharan Africa. So these waivers, these partnerships, all of these are helping. But we're continuously trying to listen to the researcher community and see how we can work on even better, sustainable ways. Yeah, that's it.
Yeah, thank you very much for the response. And finally, there's another question, which is more in line with the waiver that was answered earlier. And this wants to know whether Taylor and Francis has institutional or consortia agreements that allow universities to publish open access articles without individual APC payment.
Yes, that's a great question. We do have a lot of these. So SANLIC in South Africa is one of them, but we're working with other consortia as well. So subscription, we are working with countries across Sub-Saharan Africa. So we have partnerships in Ethiopia, in Tanzania, in Nigeria, and a lot of other places. But with these consortia, we are trying to build these open pathways as well, because I think that's the priority for researchers. When we do these surveys, every researcher, really wants to maximize the impact of their research. And it's imperative that we work with these consortia to help not only provide access to researchers, but also make it easier for them to publish in these venues, which are actually, helping them engage people with their research.
There's this very important, relevant information, and I know the researchers connected as well as the institutions connected are taking notes. I'm very certain they would contact you after this session. But also, how does Taylor and Francis ensure that open access journal maintain the same quality and peer review rigor as subscription-based journals?
Thank you so much. I will take this question, and since I actually have a flight to catch, so I'll probably be taking this as the last question. Do reach out to me on my email, because I'm really appreciating the kind of questions that are coming to us, and we would love to partner with researcher communities, actively, more actively, dynamically. But yes, so the open access journals that we have follow the same rigor in peer review and editorial processes as our non-open access journals do. So we have, and a clear mark of that would be the rejection rates. For all TNF journals, you would see that they have comparable rejection rates for subscription and open access journal. So, whether it is peer review, whether, they're checking on the quality, doing all the validation steps, everything is the same. And that actually sets apart a genuine, authentic publisher from a more, from a publisher that where the intention is to just keep growing open access content, and making those APCs. So our our USP is that we're not compromising on the quality at any stage. So you might, which sometimes becomes problematic for the researchers because they'll say you're taking a lot of time for peer review, the editorial steps are long, etc. But we are ensuring we're, even with that time we're spending, we're really trying to ensure that every piece of literature that's there on our platforms is curated, is validated, and is not compromised on quality just because it's open access. Because even whether it's subscription or it's APC, like both, like somebody or the other is paying for it. But we do not want to compromise on our quality, and every check is the same regardless of the model that it follows.
Okay, thank you very much, Dr. Kahali. I think there's one more question, but you said you need to catch a flight.
Yeah, I need to go. But these, the APCs definitely, the APCs are high, but we are really trying to find out ways to make it more sustainable. And most of these are going to progress through partnerships. So partnerships coming in from different sides of funders, government and all, and, really ensuring that, research is made more accessible. But I would love to take these conversations up with you. Please reach out to me. I'll respond to each one of you, and would love to be on another platform with AAU soon again.
Yes, thank you very much, Dr. Kahali, for joining and giving us such insight into open research and the contributions Taylor and Francis is making in that regard. You've helped us to understand the relevance of open research access in terms of addressing access inequality by ensuring a multidisciplinary and multi-stakeholder access to research, and also advancing knowledge to reduce duplication, and then also taking us through some steps we need to know before submitting a manuscript, among the many other informative insights you have given us. Thank you so much. And like she said, if you want to take up this discussion, please, you can take her email address, which has been posted in the chat, and then you follow up. Otherwise, you can also reach out to us at the AAU, and we'll be glad to connect
on LinkedIn as well as Twitter. I'm quite active there. So, I'm very happy to engage with you over LinkedIn as well. So, or you can just type my name, that'll appear. But I really look forward to these discussions. Thanks a lot for having me here at this very important event.
Yeah, thank you so much for joining us.
Thank you.
Yeah, so you can link up with her via LinkedIn as well, and send your questions across. And the AAU, with our convening power, we would always be glad to create unique platforms like this that would bridge partners to researchers in terms of open access, among other topical issues concerning Africa's higher education. Like we always say, we are the service of higher education and the leading advocacy body. Thank you so much. So we will take a 10 minutes break, and then we would come in for the next session. But before we take that break, we would also like to engage with you on our social media platforms. Do follow us if you're already not following us on Facebook and LinkedIn at Association of African Universities. And then on X, formerly known as Twitter, we are AAU_67. And we are also streaming live on YouTube. So you can also have records from there as well if you are not connected, or if you would have to break off at a point. We are streaming live on YouTube. Thank you so much for joining us for this session. We are taking a 10 minutes break, and we will be back in 10 minutes. That will be 10 minutes past 10 GMT for the second session. be explored. And for African universities to remain relevant and competitive, we must adapt strategically to these shifts while maintaining our local relevance and also addressing continental challenges such as limited infrastructure, skill gaps, and funding constraints. So that makes this topic on how African universities can remain relevant by enhancing teaching and learning to respond to emerging global trends very, very imperative. And to do so, we'll have Mrs. Semukeluso Gono, who is the regional coordinator for the AAU Southern Africa Regional Office, which is hosted by the Women's University in Africa. And she will be moderating the session. She will be taking us through by introducing the panelists and also facilitating the discussions. So if Mrs. Gono is connected, I would like to hand over to her. Thank you so much once again for joining us.
Thank you very much, Madam Chair. It's a very good afternoon from Harare, Zimbabwe, the host of the AAU Southern Africa Regional Office. I am Semukeluso Gono, the Director for International Programs and Global Initiatives at the Women's University in Africa. I am also the coordinator for the AAU Southern Africa Regional Office. First of all, I want to say congratulations and happy anniversary to the AAU from the Southern Africa Regional Office. We join the Continental Academia in celebrating our contributions to human capital. This annual event brings together higher education institutions across the continent to reflect on achievements, challenges, and the future of the African higher education. The Southern Africa Regional Office looked at its issues that affect the region in terms of higher education, and we selected speakers from the region who will share their views and experiences, as well as recommendations on how African universities can enhance teaching and learning and responding to emerging global trends. The AAU, as it serves the apex body of higher education in Africa, representing the collective voice of universities and promoting cooperation and exchange among institutions. This year, our commemorations are focusing on aligning higher education outputs with the goals of the African Union's Agenda 2063, particularly in preparing graduates for the demands of the 21st century economy and society. So our three speakers are coming from various backgrounds. Our first speaker is a Women's University in Africa alumna, who is also a development specialist and based in the United Kingdom. You will be presenting from the United Kingdom. He is also going to be followed by our Dr. Tendai Masunda Zengen, who is the head of Department Artificial Intelligence, Software Engineering and Computer Science at the College of Engineering and Applied Sciences at the Africa University in Mutare, Zimbabwe. To put the icing on the cake, we are also going to be having the Vice Chancellor of the National University of Lesotho, also giving his views and recommendations. All of them are going to be having 15 minutes of presentation, and this is what the Southern Africa Regional Office is going to be sharing with the continent. I'm going to hand over to you, Madam Chair, to call upon our first speaker, Mr. Stanford Mzabazi, who is based in the United Kingdom, to present online, and then going to be followed by Dr. Tendai. It's over to you, Madam Chair, to bring in our speaker. Mr. Mzabazi, if you are ready, the floor is yours to present.
Good morning, everyone, and thank you for having me this morning. I want to recognize the Secretary General and all the VCs that are present. And in the same way, I want to congratulate the organization for the milestones and the purpose of the gathering this morning. I want to thank you, Madam Chair, for the introduction, and I want to thank you, Mrs. Gono, for the introduction. This year, my topic is very clear and at heart and in line with the work that I do as a development specialist. I work in an international faith-based organization that deals with international development. And I work as the head of the team that works across the world to carry out international development. And this topic resonates with some of the work that we do. Because of time, I'll go straight into my presentation. I hope it's coming through the screen.
The document is not yet on screen.
All right. Is it coming through now?
Yet. Maybe you can proceed when it's ready to just pop up.
All right, thank you so much. Let me proceed because of time. So the title of my presentation is Enhancing Teaching and Learning and Global Responsiveness, and I'm going to be looking at several aspects, but coming from a background of what are the issues and the trends that the universities in Africa needs to be looking at. So this is a very strategic topic. And I think it's good that it can influence the transformation of our universities in Africa to ensure that our teaching and learning is enhanced, and also to make sure that we're not just keeping pace, but we are leading the charge and we're intentionally responding to global trends. And I'm going to go to the emerging trends just to put out where is our world going to, and where is the environment that we operate in going to, and those are things that we need to start paying attention to, so that we are aligning to that. So the number one area of where there's a shift and there's a trend that is taking place that universities in Africa needs to take attention and response to is the digital transformation. We are having an increasing, a rapid reliance on digital platforms and information and systems. And when you look at that in the developing world, this is much more easier because of the infrastructure that is available. But in Africa, we have, under the digital transformation, we have got the digital divide that still exists within our communities, our cities, and our nations. We're still struggling with a lot of limited digital infrastructure. We're still struggling with poor internet connectivity in most of the countries. And there's limited access in even some of the communities that are in the remote areas or far from the major cities. And our learning has to consider all those elements in the world that is fast relying on digital platforms. The second dynamic that is taking place under digital transformation is the rise of AI and automation. That our industries, our work every day, whether administrative, whether manufacturing, whether IT, whether transport, is rapidly relying on AI and automation. And the global market and the labor market everywhere, in places where there is high economic activity, high income, there is a demand for sophisticated digital skills and creativity that our graduates who are coming from the universities that we have are also having to compete in that same environment that is demanding for high and sophisticated digital skills and creativity. The number three element and dynamic that is taking place within the digital transformation is the remote work opportunities. And this grew mostly after the COVID pandemic, that there's now an opportunity that people do not have to arrive into an office at 7 a.m. and leave at 5 p.m. People are able to work from where they are. Again, this is creating another challenge for graduates coming from Africa, because people are now able to compete for the same job regardless of where they are based. People are able to work in a job in one country and they're based in another country because of the remote work opportunities that are arriving. And this is something that our universities needs to begin to ensure that our graduates are having that awareness and are able to compete in a pool that is now wider, that is no longer just a competition within the city that we live in. The competition is now being open to everyone who's got access to digital platforms and is able to work in the same work that you're looking at. Then there's the next trend that is taking place is our demographic and societal shift. We have positives, but I will sound like I'm focusing on the negatives because I think that's where most of the opportunity sits for us for tertiary education. This has happened for over years and a long time. The first dynamic under our societal shift, the brain drain. We keep on having talented graduates, researchers migrating to high-income countries for better opportunities, for better living conditions, for better services, and that continues to remain a challenge for us as African countries. And we keep on developing people, and our best talent keeps on being taken by those who have put their systems and processes in place before us as a continent. Under the societal shift, you're also having an increase in the demand of green skills. The global concern on climate change is driving a demand on skills that are in line with the green economy, that are in line with sustainable development. And African students need to be able to get to skills and knowledge that allows them to operate and participate in the green economy as well. So that is something in the dynamic that we have to look at as we develop skills and knowledge and training for our communities and our nations. Another societal shift that is taking place is what they term the youth bulge, where the greatest population, the young population that is biggest across the world is from Africa. The more we have got young people who have got access to knowledge, access to information, access to skills, access to training, and we have this massive group, millions of young people that are growing, but also competing for small and little resources. It seems our resources are becoming less and lesser, opportunities are less and lesser, and the number of those who are in the edge of holding skills, edge of having the energy and the prospects and the vision to work is increasing, and yet the opportunities are limited in that way. So these are the two shifts that we need to look at: the digital transformation and the societal transformation that we are having to work with as universities in Africa. I now go to my next slide that is going to look at how do we shift and how do we consider these dynamics as we move forward with higher education. And I'm proposing from my experience in development that we need to shift from instruction, to shift from getting the course, people through the course, but to empowerment, where people have knowledge, skills, ability, confidence, and are able to use those skills in any environment, regardless of their background. That universities are able to prepare anyone to be able to exist in any situation, regardless of what their background is. And in doing this, I've looked at a few things, and the first pillar of enhancing teaching and learning is that we need to move towards digital integration and infrastructure. Our learning and our teaching is to include blended learning models and ensure that we address the digital divide that I've mentioned earlier in my presentation. And we need to find ways that our access to internet and our access to training does not hinder and exclude others who at this point do not have adequate access to internet connectivity. So our focus in enhancing learning and teaching is to move to access and flexibility. How do we make sure that there's expanded access through digital platform for education programs? And also, how do we make sure that there's flexibility, that people do not only have to be sitting in a classroom setup, people can access high quality learning, high quality information, and high quality courses through our digital platforms. Number two, to enhance our teaching and learning, we need to move to student-centered pedagogy, where we are fostering high-level critical thinking, high-level collaboration, high-level practical problem-solving skills. We need to have graduates who, although even if they specialize in a particular course, that course needs to train them to be able to critically solve problems, to critically think over situations, to be able to collaborate with other industries, other partners, other information, and to be able to solve existing problems. And we need to move towards solving the problems that we are facing today as a continent, compared to us validating theories and problems that were identified centuries ago. We need to look at what our current African problems and how our students being pushed to make sure that they're thinking critically and they're thinking practically to solve those particular problems. So the focus on skills and the focus on engagement. Another element that we need to look at in terms of enhancing teaching and learning is educator excellency. We need to continue investing in continuous professional development for the staff of our universities towards modern techniques, towards modern technology integration. So our capacity building has to go further into acknowledging that there is a digital transformation that is taking place. Therefore, our staff members at any level in our tertiary institutions needs to have the capacity to be able to integrate our technology in their teaching methods. Number four, in enhancing our teaching and learning is to focus on quality and standards. I have had an opportunity to travel to a few countries across the world, and I think we have an opportunity for us to validate and confirm that the work that we do is high quality and high quality. And our alumni are going to be the ambassadors of showing that the information, the learning, and everything that they've gotten from our institutions is high quality. But it also requires that for the universities to focus on quality and standards. We need to implement robust, transparent quality assurance processes that improve our teaching methods, that improve our governance, that improves our integrity, and improves the level of credibility of our teaching and of our courses across the globe. So in terms of enhancing teaching, those are the four proposals that I'm making to this high level gathering and discussion this morning. That we need to look at digital integration in infrastructure. We need to move into student-centered pedagogy. We need to ensure that there is educator excellence, and we need to ensure that our standards and qualities are quite high and competitive across the global education market. Another element that we need to do in responding to the emerging trends is to future-proof our education in the way that we respond to global trends. And here I'm looking at our alignment of our curriculum towards the demands of the labor market. We need to ensure that we do not have an increasing population of graduates who are not required by the labor markets that are in our respective countries. Our economies needs to be able to swallow immediately the graduates that we are bringing out of our universities. And we can only do that if our curriculum is aligned to the labor market demand. And I spoke about the green economy, I spoke about the digital economy, that we need to make sure that we are aligned to that. Beyond that, we need to also make sure that our graduates are not only thinking about being employed, but we position entrepreneurship, we position self-employment through the knowledge that is coming through our universities. So we need to focus on employability on two fronts, on being able to align to the current demands of our economies and the global labor market, but also focus on employability that can happen through entrepreneurship and sustainability across our cities.
About 3 minutes.
Yes, thank you. Then we need to also consider industry collaboration. There's nothing that beats experience, and we need to ensure that we are strengthening the partnership between our tertiary institutions with the private sector to ensure that our graduates are getting access to relevant, innovative, and practical experiences as part of their learning. So we need to focus on our graduates having a real-world experience of applying their skills. And third element that we need to consider there is research and innovation hubs. We need to have an intentional expression of having complete innovation hubs that run to develop new technology, to develop new information, new solutions that are for our own communities and our own cities and our own nations, and that we're able to expand globally and become a solution for everyone. So we need to focus on leadership and relevance as well in that element. Lastly, we need to look at global mobility. We are now living in a global village that was introduced many decades ago, and we need to ensure that we promote intra-Africa and international academic exchanges between our institutions, so that there is a lot of global perspectives and a lot of knowledge sharing that is taking place. So a focus on connectivity is a key element that I'm proposing this morning. As I conclude, I want to say that we are doing a great work. As you can see, I'm a good example of a product of an African university. But all that I've shared as the challenges and the potentials are opportunities that we have in Africa as we align and try to link to the global market and trends that we have. We must evolve and not just educate, but we must lead in addressing our own local challenges and also contributing to addressing global challenges. We must align our academia with global demand and local needs, and we need to focus on relevance and innovation and leadership. I thank you for this opportunity to being part of this conversation this morning. I hand over time back to the chair.
Thank you, Mr. Msavazi. I can see our audiences are burning to fire the questions, but maybe we will have them at the end of all the other presentations for the sake of our time. That is Mr. Msavazi, our development specialist based in the United Kingdom, but a graduate of the Women's University in Africa. So, Mr. Msavazi, we are also going to request you to share your presentation so that we will also share with our audiences on the platform here. For the sake of time, I'm going to call upon our second presenter from the Southern Africa Regional Office, Dr. Tendai Zengeni, our specialist in the artificial intelligence environment. The floor is yours, Madam. Keep on sharing your questions on the platform. I'm sure my co-chair is going to be picking up the questions at the end on question and answer session. Over to you, Dr. Zengeni.
Thank you so much, Mrs. Gono. May you please confirm if you can hear me? And yes, I'm sharing my screen right now, so I'm not sure.
I can see the screen. I can hear you.
Oh, thank you so much.
I'm hearing you.
Okay. So, good afternoon, everybody. My name is Dr. Tendai Zengeni. I'm a lecturer at Africa University, and I'm also the HOD in the Department of Artificial Intelligence, Software Engineering, and Computer Science. I'd like to congratulate the Association of African Universities on your 58th anniversary. And today I'm going to be presenting my topic on how African universities can enhance teaching and learning and respond effectively to emerging global trends. So I'm going to start with just trying to demystify what the global trends are. What is happening at the moment is we have the advent of emerging technologies, and some of them are the emerging technologies are artificial intelligence. We also have blockchain. We also have renewable energy, etc. And then also some of the global trends that are there, the rise of hybrid and remote learning. This happened due to the pandemic that happened, the COVID pandemic. It gave the rise to people having to learn remotely or working from home, etc. And then an increased focus on skills like social emotional learning, sustainability, and global citizenship, and also personalized pathways. So these are some of the global trends that are happening. Then I'll move on now to skills and curriculum focus. So some of the skills that are needed, especially when we're talking of emerging trends and emerging technology.
Madam, there is a request that you put your slides in a presentation mode.
Okay. Can you see them now? Is it okay now?
Yes.
Okay.
Yeah.
Thank you so much.
Yes.
So, especially when we are talking about university education and tertiary education, we also need to develop the skills that our students have, and also concentrating on STEAM education, where we concentrate on science, technology, engineering, the arts, mathematics, into a cohesive and hands-on learning experience. I'm also going to bring into perspective and context Agenda 2063. So
we have
this is
we have lost the slide. It's not moving.
This since I changed to presentation mode.
Yeah.
Would you like me to revert? Can I revert?
I think so, because we are no longer seeing the slides.
Okay, so let me go back to share my screen. Share window there. Can you see my slide now?
Yes, we can.
Okay, so I'm going to continue with Agenda 2063. I just wanted to put it into perspective, since we are dealing with the African Union and also Pan-African universities. So Agenda 2063 has to do with the 50-year strategic blueprint for the continent of Africa, whereby it aims to build an integrated and prosperous, peaceful Africa driven by its own citizens. It's guided by some different aspirations for 2063, and to put it in context, an Africa driven by its own people, so citizens to be involved in decision making with full gender equality and youth empowerment. So education has to do with the different aspirations. It's the foundation, it's the bedrock that would drive these aspirations of Agenda 2063. So still on Agenda 2063, so as Africa, our context is unique. We're not just preparing these graduates for the world, but we are preparing our students to build the Africa that we want. So this is what Agenda 2063 is about, as envisioned in this agenda. So with the world's youngest population in Africa, we hold an unprecedented demographic dividend. But however, this potential is a ticking clock. If we do not equip our youth with future skills, with future-proof skills, just as alluded to by the previous presenter, the dividend it'll become a deficit. And our conversation today is about how we can harness technology and innovation in order to convert this potential into inclusive growth. I'm also going to talk about the SDGs, just to put everything into perspective in terms of emerging global trends and emerging technologies. So the SDGs it's a global plan which was adopted by the United Nations in order to end poverty, to protect the planet, and to ensure peace and prosperity for all by 2030. And then to do with education now, we have SDG 4, which talks about, speaks to quality education. And it's one of the SDG which focuses on ensuring inclusive, number one, and equitable education, and also promoting lifelong learning opportunities for all by 2030. So why is this SDG important? It will break the cycle of poverty, and also it will help people to develop critical thinking, as the previous speaker also mentioned, and problem-solving skills, which are needed to understand the world and to contribute their communities. So also it's the foundation for the other SDGs. If you notice, we've got 17 SDGs, and education has a transformative effect on the other sustainable development goals. So the key the key objectives of SDG 4, they speak to equity, they speak to the skills development, increasing the number of youth and adults who have the relevant skills for employment and decent jobs and entrepreneurship. It talks about literacy, gender equality, and education for sustainable development. So globally, the fourth industrial revolution is blurring the lines between the physical, the digital, and also the biological spheres. Artificial intelligence is not a future concept. It's a present day tool that is transforming economies. The global shift now demands a new kind of graduate, one who is agile, a lifelong learner, and also one who is digitally fluent. So the question for us in Africa is not if we can participate, but how are we going to shape this revolution for our own context? Okay, I'm going to talk about closer to home. I'll bring you to Zimbabwe. We are a nation that is rich in intellectual capital, as evidenced by our literacy rates. So, however, we do face a few challenges, and within these challenges lies our greatest opportunities. So, it's also the same concept in Africa as well. So how can a student who is in a remote town, how can they be able to access the same quality of specialized instruction or education as one maybe in a capital city? So this also speaks to how our lecturers can manage large cohorts effectively. So the answer, it lies in strategically deploying technology, not as a luxury, but as a core component of our educational infrastructure. And this means directly supporting our national agendas. So it's very important for the government, even for our institutions, to actually invest in technology that can help us to give instruction to our students and to also give them a seamless experience. Talking about pedagogy. So how does it look like in a lecture hall? So imagine an AI teaching assistant that can provide extra practice problems to struggling students, or grading routine assignments, allowing the professor to focus on other, deeper conceptual discussions. So if we can employ AI assistants, so this is the future. We are being futuristic. AI assistants, they are the future of education. They are the future of instruction because they can give personalized learning. If you have a student who is struggling, let's say in mathematics, maybe in quadratic equations, so this AI personalized learning system is going to track the progress of the student and will give them, extra work according to how they're performing, so that they can be able to get that practice and get better as time goes on. So AI is used.
We have 5 minutes, madam.
Okay, thank you so much. So AI is used to stimulate students so that they can actually increase the way they absorb the learning experience, because artificial intelligence is an emerging technology, and it's actually going to make education and it's going to make life for us, the educators, easier when we actually embrace it and use it practically in the classroom. So technology alone is not the end goal. It's the vehicle. The destination is a skilled citizenry. We need to have citizens who are skilled, citizens who are capacitated. So we need to deliberately cultivate that those skill sets and the technical prowess in order to build and manage these new technologies, and the uniquely human skills of creativity and ethics that machines cannot replicate. So it's important for us to actually, the new skills that are going to be there in the advent of these emerging technologies and artificial intelligence are critical thinking, as alluded to by the previous presenter as well. He mentioned that we need to have to cultivate critical thinking into our students, because when we're talking of artificial intelligence, you will notice that many of our students now in universities, in tertiary education, if you give them an exercise, they just throw it into ChatGPT or some of these applications, and basically what they do is they regurgitate what they are given, and they just give it back to us. But in